Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another episode of Popcorn Culture. I'm Khai.
I'm Zat.
Zat, we are 2 days away from the new year.
It's the end of the year.
You seem very happy.
End of the decade.
It's the end of the decade.
Yeah, it's a lot to reflect upon.
Okay, and over the last 10 years, we've seen a lot of things happen in pop culture, in comic books, in movies, TV shows. Everything that we've consumed has changed drastically.
Yep.
And so in this episode, we're just going to highlight some of the things that have been have exponentially changed in the last 10 years.
Influential, prevalent in the last 10 years. That kind of like if you look back in the last 10 years from 2010 to 2019, you look back and think like, yep, that's what really sticks out in a sense.
So, in your opinion, if we had to come up with a list, number one, what's the one thing that really changed pop culture for you?
Well, for me, I think one of the things that kind of stick out the most is the rise of peak TV, or the new golden age of TV.
There's been more television content now?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the last decade, there were TV shows like The Sopranos or Breaking Bad, which just started, and it gave rise to a lot of TV shows that now have become more and more popular. For example, Game of Thrones. It's like a huge deal.
That only started after.
Yeah, it started in 2011.
Yeah, right after the start of the new decade. Yeah.
Yeah, and when it started, no one thought that there was going to be a huge blockbuster of a TV show.
Or a huge disappointment.
Which way, either way you look at it, it had such a cult following.
Yeah.
And it's not just that, but TV shows like Game of Thrones, and you had Breaking Bad. You had TV shows like that came back from like Twin Peaks, for example.
Right.
Yes. And it's not just TV shows, but it's not a lot of actors who came from movies normally do TV shows when their stardom starts to like dwindle down a bit. But now more and more actors are starting in TV shows and making names from TV shows. For example, Kevin Spacey in House of Cards.
And also Kevin Spacey in prison.
Or even directors are making their names in TV shows like David Fincher in House of Cards.
Martin Scorsese went into television with Vinyl.
Yes, he did.
That had Bobby Cannavale.
He did Boardwalk Empire as well.
He did, yeah.
So again, it's not. I mean, people used to think that they're gonna make their names big in movies, but TV shows. I mean, and the quality of content that's coming out in the last 10 years has been amazing.
Do you think it's got to do with the fact that TV shows are less restrictive? Like, you have a longer runtime over a season, that means you can tell a better story.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about Watchmen, for example,
yeah,
as a movie,
that's a TV show, and it was amazing.
Yeah, when you look at the movie, you wouldn't have imagined that 12. I mean, a movie wasn't enough.
No,
it wasn't 12 issues.
No,
but if it was made to a TV show,
1 hour each.
Yeah, it would have 1 hour each. It would have like more time to breathe in a sense. Okay. So I feel like TV shows, it's not gonna stop. The rise of peak TV is not gonna stop. The train is gonna keep moving forward, and we're gonna see more and more TV shows coming in the next decade.
And I think leading the charge with TV shows would have to be actors like Tom Hardy, who's in shows like Peaky Blinders, Taboo.
And then you have actresses like Reese Witherspoon and Nicole Kidman doing Big
Little Lies. Yes. And yeah, you're right. It's just a lot of actors and actresses are moving towards that medium as well. And I think the scheduling as well is better because you do it once, like you do one block and you're done until you do another block. Instead of like a film, you're on set for 6 months and then you have to do reshoots, and I guess it just takes a toll eventually.
And now, again, with Game of Thrones, after Game of Thrones concluded this year, more and more networks are trying to find the next Game of Thrones.
Yeah, and I think Netflix just released The Witcher, which is meant to be the Netflix version of Game of Thrones.
Yep.
Amazon is in development for Lord of the Rings, which they hope is going to be the next Game of Thrones as well.
Yeah.
Which means all these shows will have a terrible final season.
And then we have like shows like, I think it's called C, led by Jason Momoa on Apple.
Yeah,
Apple
but
TV.
I don't see the difference between that and
Aquaman?
No, the other one he has on Netflix, Frontier.
Oh, is it called Frontier? The Frontier?
Is it the Frontier?
So. Yeah,
something. Yeah. Jason Momoa.
But again, like
same
people are like actors and actresses are dabbling both in movies and TV shows. So it just goes to show that.
Do you think this has got to do with the rise in platforms that are offering?
Yes, and it's one of the other things I do like to talk about for this last decade: streaming services.
Yeah, no, everything's on streaming right now.
I mean, the way we binge content, it's changed the way we've consumed media entertainment. Like, people don't just wait for the latest thing to come out every end of the week, but they can consume a whole season of Stranger Things from their phones anywhere they want.
And I think this
Like
has
that.
got to do, like, we can't not talk about this. Netflix
Yeah.
has basically rewritten the rule book.
And again, every network has jumped on that streaming service train.
Because in the last, 1 year, we've had Apple TV,
Yeah.
Disney Plus,
And HBO Max coming out next year.
HBO Max,
Hulu.
Hulu, yeah, Amazon Prime as well.
Yep.
That's at least 5, and then there's CBS All Access, I think.
Yes, they do. And CW, I don't know what it's called, but CW has their own.
Yeah, they've got their own thing. So it's like everybody's on the streaming game right now, and
Yeah.
they're all kind of bidding for property and talent to populate their platforms. But for me, it's like here's the thing: like Netflix makes a ton of content,
Yeah.
but not all of them are good.
No. So is it a quantity game or a quality
Yeah,
game?
it's a quantity game or a quality game, and like for me personally, the only things that I've really enjoyed from Netflix over the last couple of years would probably be Stranger Things, the Daredevil TV show,
Oh.
Mindhunters,
Oh.
And-
that was really good.
every now and then a very good movie pops up on Netflix, and I just don't see it. Like, I don't think I'm one of those guys who can justify going through Netflix all the time. They get good documentaries though,
Yeah.
like Toys That Made Us, and recently Movies That Made Us as well.
Mm.
They have really good content in that sense, like documentaries and some of their intellectual property, but most of it is pretty bad.
So would you say that if you were to stream something on Netflix or any other platform, are you more of a TV show binging kind of person or a movie?
I would say a TV show, just because their movie selection doesn't seem to be like the kind of stuff I would like. The Netflix original films aren't exactly something I would.
But then you have the odd anomaly though, like
You do.
Roma,
I've not seen Roma yet.
that is one of the, I think it was the first Netflix original movie to be nominated for an Oscar.
And it won, right?
It won Best Foreign Film and got nominated for Best
yeah.
Picture as well. So things could change
I
in the
guess,
next
yeah.
few
And
years.
The Irishman, I've not seen The Irishman
Neither
either.
have I. I'm trying to.
It's
allocate
3.5
some time.
hours, yeah. Again, like every now and then you get the Stranger Things, you get Daredevil, but for the most part, I think Netflix's biggest legacy is that having created or being in debt 20 billion, everybody's trying to step up their content game because Disney Plus launched, I think, a month ago,
Yeah.
and we got The Mandalorian, which is, I think, one of the best shows right now this year. And I know you.
That.
Yeah, I finished it.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's,
yeah. I need to finish
It's
that.
amazing. Not just because it's a Star Wars show, just because it's really well written. The action's really good.
I'm sure not biased, Kai.
Maybe. And then Apple TV obviously has, like you said, got C and a few other stuff. But again, I don't know where I stand with the whole streaming thing.
I mean, again, like I personally don't mind streaming, but it depends again with the quality. Stranger Things is the exception. It's
Yeah.
one of my and Daredevil, a few of the Marvel TV shows. But when it comes to movies and streaming, it's a big no for me.
so you wouldn't stream movies?
No, because I still prefer the traditional way of enjoying movies as it's meant to be in the theater, in cinemas.
With good sound and
Yeah, exactly. The sound, the experience, the environment. So binging things on your phones, on your tablet or on your laptop, it just creates a different kind of, culture of consuming entertainment.
Yeah, I can't watch movies on the plane.
Neither can I.
I can't do it. I can't watch it on my laptop. I can't watch it on my phone. I gotta watch it on a good TV or the cinema.
I know, you sound very
We sound very elitist.
We're very
but
snobbish.
It's because
We're
I
very
like the
snobbish in a
experience.
sense.
I like being in a cinema. I like their being in an aircon room and just having a possibly cathartic experience. I enjoy that.
So do you think streaming services will shape the way we
Yes,
consume content in the
unfortunately,
next-
I think it's gonna be streaming going forward.
Wow.
I really think so. I really think it's gonna be streaming going forward, and it's a shame because I genuinely enjoy sitting in a cinema and watching something, but I just gotta point out to the fact that mobile devices there's been more mobile devices sold than there have been people on Earth. I think there was like a hypothesis somewhere on the internet that said there's more mobile devices sold than there ever was people, or something like this.
Okay.
Don't quote me on this. That just tells you that more people are willing to invest in hardware that they can bring on the go and watch stuff.
Yeah.
Because if you go to a subway anywhere in Asia, Singapore, Malaysia, people are watching their Korean dramas, their Japanese dramas on their phones.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
it's the case.
To be fair though, like again, the amount of content, TV shows, movies, cartoons, what have you, they've increased exponentially over the
Hundredfold.
last decade. And
Yeah.
I understand the sentiment when it comes to binging content on phones and tablets or whatever, because we just don't have the time.
No, we don't.
Most people don't have the time. But it's sad though, because that's the current state of affairs when it comes to people consuming movies and TV shows.
Yeah, what do you think has been the biggest change in the entertainment landscape in the last 10 years?
For me, it's the racial and gender politics that have
Ooh.
clouded the film industry over the last, not start of the decade,
Clouded is a very interesting
but
choice
the last
of word.
few years. For those who don't know, with the racial politics, not to sound insensitive, but the whole Black Lives Matter movement, and then with gender politics, you have the Me Too movement. So for those who don't know, please Google that and find out. But because we're gonna go straight into it, but it's changed the way certain directors and filmmakers decide on what to make for their movies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to be racially sensitive towards certain topics, or there's a push for more racial awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Casting choices such as Aladdin, there was a huge uproar when people thought they were gonna, choose.
Casting choices for Aladdin.
Not to sound insensitive to words.
Very bold choice of words.
But I remember reading that the extras for the Aladdin were
browned up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's one of those things, and maybe 15, 20 years ago you could get away with that.
You could,
But not
you could.
today.
Yeah.
Not today. So again, that's from a racial point of view, but in gender, the whole Me Too movement and Harvey Weinstein getting,
As he should.
and a lot of other actors and
As they
directors
should.
like Kevin Spacey and Bryan Singer. There's a huge female movement when it comes to
Female-led movement.
female-led movement when it comes to protecting the rights of women
Mm-hmm.
working in the industry, and that's fine, that's great. But it's also affected the way certain movies are being made. Are they more female focused? Is it a female director directing this female-led superhero, for example, like Captain
Right.
Marvel
And Wonder Woman.
and Wonder Woman, for example?
Brilliant
So
film.
again, and it's just not just in the superhero movie genre, but there are a lot of other movies.
Okay, where do you stand on this? That's my question. Where do you stand?
Okay, I think
I feel like I know where you stand. I want to hear where you stand.
Actually, I'm quite impartial and neutral when it comes to these things, because
Right.
at the end of the day, it's the quality of content.
Of course.
There's no point in making a movie like Birth of the Nation, which came out in 2017 and caused a huge uproar during Sundance. I forgot what's the name of the lead director and writer of this, but
Yeah.
it was the most expensive acquisition of any movie in Sundance for a record 17.5 million, I think.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that. But as soon as they found out that the lead actor, who's also the director and writer for this movie called The Birth of the Nation, was accused of raping someone in 2009, and even though he made an apology and whatever, and people found out that the person who got allegedly raped killed themselves in 2012, there was no mercy. There was no mercy. And that is, again, a complete encapsulation of racial and gender politics in one movie.
You don't think this is just them being responsible, though?
Responsible in what way, you mean?
If I had found out that I paid a good chunk of money to a dude who did something like that, and
Yeah.
the victim took their own lives, I would have done the same thing. Like, that went dark, man. Like,
No, but it's true. This is that is just one of the many things that have been publicly known.
I'll go the opposite direction.
Okay.
I'll go the opposite direction. Director Bryan Singer has a reputation.
Yes, he does.
He has a reputation, and I don't need to say what that reputation is. He just seems like a predator,
Yeah.
right? But he's still protected by the studios. His name is still on Bohemian Rhapsody as the director, not Dexter Fletcher, who everybody knows was the director.
Yeah.
So that's my counterpoint to yours. Like, while there's like this, while there's all this super woke, I guess you would say, like a very super woke lens that's going through everything in Hollywood.
Yeah.
How is a guy like Bryan Singer getting away with what he did?
Some people get away with it, some people don't.
That's the part where
I mean, like
think
Kevin Spacey didn't get away with it,
no, he didn't.
but Bryan Singer. I mean, again, it's
So
it's a
subjective.
case by case
Yeah, this
thing. But again, you cannot look past this decade without mentioning racial or gender politics. Because
Yeah,
it's
no.
such a huge deal these
It's
days.
such a huge deal, and for better or worse, it's here to stay.
Yeah.
Right? For me personally, I have never cared about the color, gender, sexuality, anything of a character in
Well, someone like Natalie Portman would say otherwise. I remember her, I think, presenting the Best Director award in 2017, 2018. I
Right.
can't remember. And when the nominees were mentioned, she said, "And here are all the 5 all-male nominees."
This was the Golden Globe.
Was it Golden Globe?
This was the Golden Globe.
Because I remember Guillermo del Toro, I think, won Best Director for Shape of Water.
Yes.
I think. It was the Golden Globe.
Yeah,
okay.
To be here to present the award for Best Director.
And here are the all-male nominees.
So I've never cared about the actors' orientation, race, skin color, nothing.
Yeah.
I just want good characters on screen. And I'm one of those guys who, when the Force Awakens trailer came out and Finn was shown without his helmet in the desert, didn't care the fact that Finn was black. I just cared about the fact that Stormtrooper had a helmet off. You know, I'm that kind of guy. When Daisy Ridley was announced to be Rey, and halfway through the film you realize she's the main character, I didn't care because I just want a good story. I want good characters. I think when these stories are not good, the actors playing them, if they happen to be from either, if they happen to be a diversity choice, suffer even more. And it's really sad because after The Force Awakens, we had The Last Jedi. And Kelly Marie Tran plays Rose Tico in The Last Jedi. She was introduced in The Last Jedi. She, as an actress, seems nice. She seems like a nice person. Her character was, I have to say, a handful. The fact that she got bullied off of social media by people who hated her character.
The amount of abuse, verbal abuse.
Yeah, it's so devastating to hear stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, you know, to hear she's in The Rise of Skywalker, you go, okay, just give us a good character. And to see her sidelined to 72 seconds is also disappointing. Like, it's so sad to be in a situation where you have a aspiring Asian American actress who is handling quite a bit of a... it's a big responsibility to be the first Asian... representative to the Star Wars universe, and to have your character hated so much that you delete social media, and you're only in the sequel for 72 seconds. It's just like sad. Like, I just feel that whole thing is pretty tragic.
True. It's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Yeah,
we're never going anywhere when it comes to these
and I feel like
subjects.
I feel like race and gender politics or race and gender issues should not be a flavor of the week kind of thing. Like, if you're dedicated as a studio, as a director, as a filmmaker, a storyteller, if you're dedicated to telling the story a certain way, and you want to cast a minority actor or character, it has to be for the right reasons. You can't just say, I'll put in a couple of colored people and I'll sell the film. Like, I feel like it shouldn't
like a
be that.
diversity thing.
It shouldn't be
insensitive.
No. This discussion has to take place. It shouldn't be a marketing ploy. Studios shouldn't be like, right, let's put a African American person as the lead. In the hopes that it will sell. That's not it. Like, you're not understanding that. Diversity is, regardless of your character, regardless of the writing, anybody can play the character.
As long as it respects the source material, though. Because I remember Scarlett Johansson got so much slack.
That
Goes to the Shell.
She is. Scarlett Johansson, talented, beautiful.
But was she the right choice for a movie like Ghost in the Shell?
No, absolutely not.
I mean, again, it's nothing against her.
No,
it was just the studio's choice.
And there was also the story about her, how she wanted to play a trans character. And I'm like, Scarlett, get off the microphone. Like, it's just, like I said, it has to be for the right reasons, you know. If you want to tell the story of a trans character, get a trans actor or get somebody who
understands the character very well,
and who, when put under the spotlight or put under pressure, will be able to say the right things. Because don't quote me, I don't think Scarlett Johansson said the right things after that.
No.
Yeah,
and sometimes it's put out of context as well. So
absolutely. So we don't know where it is. We don't know where it is.
Her.
I just feel like, do it for the right reasons. You know, it shouldn't matter. Like, when you're writing a story, don't go, I'm gonna put a South Asian lead because diversity sells. No, if the story needs a South Asian lead, you put a South Asian character. Like, I feel that's where I'm coming from. As an audience member.
I completely understand.
And the counter argument is that colored individuals won't be able to see themselves as, or be able to relate to a story with a white or Caucasian protagonist. But I have never had a problem seeing myself as Luke Skywalker, who's extremely Caucasian. He's got blonde hair and blue eyes. But I guess it's just where we grow up is different compared to how it is in the West. And, you know, it's just one of those things that I feel should have always been there from the beginning.
Yeah.
I think it should have been different at the beginning because certain films have not aged well in that regard.
Yeah.
If you watch movies like Temple of Doom, Indiana Jones Part 2, I don't think it looked very flattering.
Or Lawrence of Arabia, for example.
Or Lawrence of Arabia.
You know, this whole notion of the white savior.
Yeah, you know, there are things that have not aged well with this new perspective on art and culture. But a lot of the time, gender and race issues have been highlighted by something I want to talk about, which is the power of social media. As we entered 2011, Instagram wasn't a thing, Twitter was still new, Facebook was still new.
Yeah.
As we're closing out this decade, Twitter and social media have single-handedly been responsible for the utter either destruction or creation of a lot of pop culture landmarks. And I mean this in the sense that the Dukes of Hazzard's car had a Confederate flag on it. And social media has successfully ensured that that car is never featured in any reruns of the show or anything. And the Dukes of Hazzard is now no longer socially acceptable because of the Confederate flag. You're wearing a shirt of Sonic the Hedgehog. When the first trailer for Sonic the Hedgehog came out this year, it was butchered for what Sonic looked like. And the studio legitimately delayed the release date, pumped in extra cash, and remodeled Sonic from scratch.
Based on what he's
Based
supposed to look like on the video games and everything.
And again, Me Too was highly spread out over social media.
Yeah.
Guys like Harvey Weinstein have had their careers ended because social media has destroyed anybody's ability to stay quiet.
It's like one person tweets something
and
everyone
then people jump on and say, I experienced the same thing.
Yeah.
I experienced the same thing, and
boom, all these dark secrets and
start popping out because it's giving people a voice. And you can't talk about social media without talking about what some directors themselves have gone through. Like James Gunn, director of Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, director of The Suicide Squad that's coming out, lost his job at Marvel Disney because of some tweets he made 10 years ago that somebody dug up and boom, that's it, he doesn't have a job.
If I remember correctly, it's like some homophobic and
there were some homophobic and slightly disturbing jokes that he made.
Yeah.
When he did come up with a statement saying he was trying to be edgy. But he lost his job because that's the power of social media for you. Like, it's this tool that makes or breaks you.
Yeah.
Again, he's back for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Yeah. There's been a lot of internal investigations. He's apologized profusely about it. And on the other side of the fence, it can also be used to garner such crazy amounts of support for another director, being Zack Snyder.
Oh, the Snyder Cut. Release the Snyder Cut, guys.
Like, Zack Snyder, great visual director.
Yeah.
Not a huge fan of everything he's done.
Yep.
Dawn of the Dead was good. 300 was pretty good. Watchmen, the Ultimate Cut is good. Didn't bother for Sucker Punch. Man of Steel didn't like it. Didn't like BVS. And that was it, right?
Yeah.
That was it. Ladies and gents, this guy invested years of his life into building the DC Extended Universe. And the year Justice League is supposed to come out, he's unceremoniously removed from the project. And Joss Whedon is brought in to replace him. The movie is a critical and commercial failure. And fans start banging on this drum. They say that there is more to this story. There is a Zack Snyder cut of Justice League out there, and we want to see this. And what do? They start taking screenshots of the Justice League trailers that have been playing, and they say, look, this is an entirely different movie. Joss Whedon has made an entirely different film.
Yeah.
And this happened for a whole, I would say, year before Zack Snyder went on Vero, the social media platform, and started uploading photos from his personal archives. And he has used social media to make so much noise for release the Snyder Cut that at this point, I genuinely feel like we'll be seeing it soon. Like, not too bad. Like, not too long from now, we'll hear, ladies and gents, Warner Brothers is releasing the Justice League Director's Cut or Snyder Cut, as you may have it. And it all came to a head a couple of weeks ago when, like, Ben Affleck, who's never said anything about the Snyder Cut,
came back from
Twitter hibernation and tweets, release the Snyder Cut. Gal Gadot does it. Simu Liu, Marvel's Shang-Chi does it.
Yeah.
Drax Batista does it. Everybody is on social media.
Ryan Reynolds did it.
Ryan Reynolds did it
in a joking way.
Damon Lindelof. Everybody was talking about the Snyder Cut, and you just go like, "This is the power of social media, man. It could make you, it could break you."
Yeah.
And I personally think like that's one of the things that's really changed over the last 10 years. And going into social media, the court of public opinion, with the rise in individual critics, reviews, criticisms, YouTube, where people are uploading their opinions on films are being brutalized at the box office if first reviews aren't great.
Yeah, the power of reviews like Rotten Tomatoes, Cinema Score.
Rotten Tomatoes, Cinema Score, YouTube, the social influencers on YouTube, if they go on in front of a camera, in front of their 100,000 subscribers and
it
say,
will make or break.
I don't like this film, and the film will, I'm not even kidding, the film will die.
Yeah.
And we've seen this happen so many times this year, with the latest example being Cats.
Oh.
Cats has been butchered in the reviews. Like 10 years ago, nobody would have listened to Twitter reviews. Nobody would have watched YouTube videos. No, people would have walked in and wanted to form their own opinion.
Yeah.
2 weeks before the global release of Cats, word comes out that this film is a nightmare. And it only makes like 7 million at the box office when it comes out. It's, again, like social media, that entire sphere, the world of blogging, vlogging, and being an influencer, it carries so much weight that if they don't like your film, they don't like your TV show, you're gonna start losing audience. Like Game of Thrones is an example right now.
Yeah.
That finale got so much hate online that the creators, the showrunners, David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, didn't even attend the Comic-Con Game of Thrones panel.
No.
Because they knew they screwed it up.
Yeah.
Like, the noise is so much more magnified on social media that even good films, good TV shows, good comic books are also being butchered.
Yeah.
And it's just such, like you said, such a...
I remember, I can't remember what movie specifically, but I remember it had a Christian Bale and or Oscar Isaac in the film. I don't know what the name of the movie was, but it was controversial in its nature, due to race or something or the other. And everyone on IMDb gave it a 0.
Christian Bale and Oscar Isaac?
I think so. I can't remember what the movie is called, but I remember reading this a few years ago. And when the movie came out, before the movie came out, everyone was just giving it so much hate on IMDb and giving such a low review that no one bothered to watch it. Not even knowing what the movie was about.
Yeah.
And again, that it speaks to like what you said about the power of social media. Like again, these days people tend to be very picky when it comes to what movies they want to watch in the cinema. It's your money's worth.
Yeah.
So more often than not, people do read these reviews to see whether should I go to the cinema with my whole family, with my girlfriend, or whoever.
Because it's getting more, like stateside, for example, it's getting more expensive to watch a film.
It is. It does.
It's like $17 for a movie ticket, not including popcorn and drinks. And with us here in Asia, it's just we get whatever's popular. We don't get every art house film ever made. We don't get any of this. But if it bombs in the States, chances are we won't get it here.
Yeah.
It's really that.
There's a knock-on effect.
Yeah, and Charlie's Angels is another example. There was a lot of hate from particular group of society and social media users, which were mostly male, kind of right-wing minded. So you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
There was a huge movement to destroy Charlie's Angels box office, and I don't know how it is right now, but it didn't really do well in the beginning. No. I saw the film. I honestly didn't feel like it was in your face or anything like that. Like I didn't feel that way because I just enjoyed the film, and it was a spiritual sequel to the 2 generations before.
Yep.
I just thought it's all right. But like I said, like social media is so vast and
it also has the adverse effect of having a movie that's not really well made or low in quality, but if it has the right social media push, it can actually garner a great or even modest box office return. From top of my head, I can't think of anything. But again,
Kung Fury is amazing. If anybody's not seen it, they're making it into a full feature film.
It's just one of those things where again the influence of social media.
Fant Four Stick comes to mind.
I did not see that one.
I did. Josh Trank's Fantastic Four film.
Oh yeah, I did see that one.
What do you mean you've not seen Fant Four Stick? Are you kidding me?
I was thinking like,
no,
what is this movie?
Yeah, so Fant Four Stick by Josh Trank was butchered on social media, and for good reason, because that was a bad film.
Yeah, and we have never heard of Josh Trank ever since.
No, we've not. And he also became popular because of Chronicle, which was a hit in the indie circuit, really social media. Yeah. Again, like we could go on and on for this. The other thing I want to talk about. When I mention box office is you can't ignore that the industry is gearing towards a certain vertical right now where it's a remake, reboot, sequel, prequel of an existing franchise. Because this year's top 10 box office all belongs to existing properties like John Wick, Toy Story, Lion King, Aladdin, Frozen, Spider-Man, Captain Marvel, Avengers,
Star Wars.
Star Wars. None of these were an original. They were all either a follow-up, a prequel, a sequel. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're all connected to a larger fabric in some way, and there's been more money made in the box office in the last 10 years than has ever been.
Yeah.
Because of one big player, which is Disney. Like, you can't not talk about
Addressing the mouse in the room.
you can't not address the mouse in the room. Disney literally owns 90% of everything I've seen or touched in the last few years.
It's a scary thought when you think about how they started the decade by acquiring Lucasfilm,
which we thought was they kind of ended the last decade by Marvel, if you think about it.
Yeah.
They bought Marvel 09, and then 12 they buy Lucasfilm, and then
And just recently they acquired all the Fox properties, the movie properties.
Which is
When you think
so
about it,
crazy.
it's the movies we've seen, like Die Hard, Avatar, Alien, Home Alone,
Yeah.
Planet of the Apes.
They've bought all of that, and 8 out of 10 movies in the top 10 this year is a Disney.
You can't look at the calendar of a film and not think of a film that's not owned by Disney.
Yeah,
From
because-
January to December, there's always something.
Yeah, and like I said, 8 out of 10 films this year belongs to Disney in the box office, right?
Yeah.
They've made like 8 billion at the box office. This is an insane amount of money to make for a single studio.
They're holding a monopoly over the other studios in a sense.
How do you feel about this?
I mean, I think it's a nice what do you call this, parallel between original content in streaming services and a huge studio that owns almost everything now
in
cinema. So I am obviously concerned and worried about the nature of where the film industry is heading towards, because variety, diversity, all these things are, makes you want to go to the cinema and enjoy different types of movies. There's nothing wrong with a good Disney film or a good Marvel film.
Except Lion King.
I didn't even bother to watch.
No, man, that's not for me.
But wouldn't you want a range, a variety of films?
Yeah,
that you
I
wanna
suppose.
go to the cinema?
How many Marvel movies do we need?
How many Disney
remakes,
live action films do you want?
Well, I want Hercules.
Oh,
I do want Hercules, and they better bring back Michael Bolton. Mulan looks good though.
Mulan does look good,
Yeah.
but again,
that's the mentality right there.
yeah. I mean, when I first saw Aladdin, I think
Right.
I was skeptical.
I didn't see it.
Okay, but when I watched it, it was okay.
Okay.
There was nothing wrong with it, but there was nothing new. There was nothing fresh.
It's funny that earlier on in the episode you mentioned about diversity in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Did you read that article where Mena Massoud, the star of Aladdin, has not gotten a single audition?
Yes.
Since
Yes.
being in a $1 billion film.
Yeah.
Aladdin is a $1 billion film. The guy's not gotten a single phone call. That's so tragic. Like, why should this happen to, frankly, he's a good actor.
Yeah.
Why? Again, that blows my mind. Like, it kind of tells you the disconnect between what you see on the screen, literally, and what happens in real life.
And then you see Naomi Scott on the
On the one hand, getting Charlie's Angels, and she's getting a bunch of other stuff. Yeah, so Disney is so powerful right now that I think I'm stepping away from franchises-ish. I'm like, they've canceled the Alien film. Predator's closed.
Yeah.
Die Hard is closed. They are redoing Planet of the Apes, and I do hope it's a follow-up of the last 3.
I hope so.
I think I'm kind of done with the MCU because I don't see a point investing in a story.
No, we've talked about this at length. I remember that Endgame was the last MCU
That's
film.
it for me.
I didn't even bother watching Spider-Man Far From Home.
You
because
shouldn't. It's bad.
It's getting tiring. There is a sense of franchise fatigue.
Yeah.
And
with Star Wars, we close the chapter.
Yeah,
we're done with Star Wars.
It's a whole new. It's literally a whole new chapter
whole new world
for the coming decade, and I am worried what the landscape of the film industry will be. Because again, I like indie films. I like, the odd action film or family film or whatever. Having a month-to-month catalog of Disney films dominating the box office, that doesn't look for healthy reading.
I guess at this point, even next year, I was looking at the release schedule next year. Only Christopher Nolan's Tenet truly stands out.
And you know what's crazy though, that a lot of the websites, bloggers, Instagram people who talk about films, I have yet to see Tenet on any of their most top 10
They're gonna be sorry.
anticipated films.
They're gonna be sorry.
It's always dominated by, again, Wonder Woman 1984, Black Widow, Eternals. All movies are either superheroes or franchise films or owned by Disney.
I think for me personally, as long as guys like Chris Nolan, Martin Scorsese are to a certain extent, the Russo brothers.
Yeah.
If they're still in the game, I'm good. But I do think I can't do stuff that is rehashed from something or a continuation of something. I really think this year was it. Like, Toy Story's done, Star Wars is done, Marvel is done for me. I'm not even excited for Ghostbusters Afterlife next year.
I'm again, like I told you before in like one of our previous episodes, I'm skeptical.
Yeah, so for me, as long as they keep guys like Nolan, Tarantino, which we'll cover in a different point.
Episode, yeah.
As long as those guys are still there, I'll still do it. But like I said, I am quite skeptical. And you're right, because some of the best content I've seen this year is television, which is Watchmen and Mandalorian.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess that's all we could...
So, like, I just want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to in the next decade or
In the
at least next few years?
Dying. Oh, that is good. Okay, if I'm being honest, I am looking forward to more original stuff.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to a new generation of storytellers. I feel like David Fincher's generation is coming to a peak with what they can tell. It's a new ball game right now.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to newer storytellers. I'm looking forward for comics to kind of go nuts a bit, because I feel like every time there's been a reboot at DC Comics, it kind of goes
Marvel
back.
Comics.
Yeah, it goes back to status quo. I want to see more of that.
Yeah.
I am interested to see how long it'll take before Netflix.
Thanks.
Before Netflix
Goes bankrupt.
I didn't want to say it. You said it, but yeah.
I'm just inferring, dude.
Yeah. What about yours? What about you?
I'm excited for more amazing TV shows, to be honest. Like in the last decade alone, like from the top of my head, TV shows like The Americans, that really went under the radar when it comes to primetime TV. You have TV shows like the first few seasons of House of Cards,
Right.
or the first few seasons when Black Mirror was still like led by British
Yeah.
actors. I mean, there's so much, and I'd like to see more daring stories in TV shows, because I think it's more and more actors are going there, more and more directors are going there. Films are being, I don't know.
Films are now the sellout medium.
Yeah, and that's sad to say, because I love watching movies in cinema, but in the last few years, again, like you said, it's just been a lot of franchise fatigue, and I want something, and the only thing daring and risky and original I can foresee in the next few years, if not the next decade, is TV shows. So I'm looking forward to that.
All right. So that's it from us for this year's batch of stuff. If you guys have any ideas, say something in the comments, drop us a line on social media. We'll see you next year with our highlights for the last 10 years and what we are most excited for in 2020.
Yeah.
See you. Thanks for watching another episode of Popcorn Culture.
And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.